Hi everybody, welcome back to You Can Do Math. Today we are still solving quadratic equations by factoring, but today the leading coefficient is greater than 1 and it's not in standard form. All right guys, let's get started. All right everybody, we got 3 problems for today. And it's really important right now for you to think about how you're organizing your notes as you watch these videos. I'd like you to give yourself a nice title. We're solving quadratics today. We're solving equations that have an x squared. Today they're not going to be in standard form, and our leading coefficient is greater than 1. These are really important things to add to your notes, so that way when you're looking on how to do something, you know exactly where to go. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with our first example, and it is 3x squared subtract 24 equals a negative x. All right, so I'd like you to look at that very first term, which is 3x squared. And 3x squared should be our leading term, right? The x squared. So the next term is where we would like the term that has an x in it. And if you notice, that x is all the way on the other side of our equation. So we need to add x to the other side. When doing so, I kind of wrote that x in between the 3x squared and the negative 24 because that's where it goes. And then I'm going to write down 3x squared plus x minus 24 equals 0. And when we're trying to solve our quadratic by factoring, we need our equation to equal 0 and all of our terms to be in the correct order. So we have our x term first, then our x term, and then our constant, which is just our number with no variable. Okay, so now what we can do is we can multiply the first term by the last term. So it'd be 3 times negative 24, which is negative 72. And we need to think about which two factors multiply to get negative 72, but also add and subtract to get 1, because 1 is our middle term there. And that would be 9 and 8. So 9 times 8, and which one would be negative? The 8, correct, right? Because we have 9 subtract 8 would give us the positive 1x. So now we can write our, draw our box. First term goes in the first box, so 3x squared. Last term in the last box, negative 24. And the two terms that we found, 9 and a negative 8, go in those two diagonals. And don't forget about your x. Perfect. All right, so now let's go ahead and pull out our greatest common factor. The first column, up and down, 3x squared and 9x. I know that I can divide both of those terms by a 3x. And my eyes just instantly kind of go to that first row just because I know 3x times x is 3x squared, and it just kind of completes that, which does help me with the next piece because I know that that spot has to be a negative 8 because negative 8 times x gives me a negative 8x. And then from there, I know that the this term right here, that spot basically has to be a positive 3 because 3x times 3 gives me my 9x, and then 3 times that negative 8 is negative 24. So now that we've done that, we can set up our two parentheses of 3x minus 8 and x plus 3 and equals 0. So now that we've written our quadratic in a factored form, let's go ahead and solve both of those. We'll write separate equations and then solve them. So we can say that 3x subtract 8 equals 0 and the x plus 3 equals 0. And then as we're solving individually, let's add the 8 to each side. So we have 3x equals 8. And then divide by 3, and x gives us a positive 8 over 3. Remember, I would like you to leave your answers as an improper fraction. We love fractions. Oh, I should have grabbed that button out of my classroom. Do you guys remember? It says I love fractions and wear it on fun fraction days. Yeah, hopefully, maybe not. Okay. So the second equation, let's subtract 3 from each side. So x equals a negative 3, and those are our two solutions to our quadratic equation. All right, how are you feeling? Okay? Getting the hang of it? Some parts are hard, some parts are easy, maybe. All right, so please don't forget you can always email me. I'm here to answer any questions that you have. All right, so example number 2. Let's say 7x squared. Let's subtract 36x and make it equal a negative 5. All right. Hopefully you noticed right away that you should be adding the 5 to the other side so we can write our equation in standard form. And because 5 is the constant, has no variable with it, that means we're going to write it last and then equal 0. So we have 7x squared, subtract 36x, plus 5 equals 0. All right, so let's go ahead and do our first term times our last term. Our a times our c are 7 times 5, and that gives us a positive 35. And we're looking for two factors that will give us 36. 35 and 5, or 35 and 1. Oh, coffee. Who's got coffee? I think I need more coffee today. All right, so 35 times 1. But I need a negative 36, which means 35 should be negative and the 1 should be negative, because 35 negative times negative 1 gives us a positive 35, and if we add them we get negative 36. All right, so let's draw our box. Let's go ahead and put first term in the first box. So we have 7x squared. Last term in the last box is a 5, and the two that we found, 35x and a negative 1x. Great work. Let's pull out our greatest common factor now. We have 7x for the first column. We have a 1 on the second column. Going across, we have an x. And then 5, but because the diagonals are both negative, that means that our 1 must be negative and our 5 must be negative, because when we multiply back through, it works, right? So like negative 1 times negative 5 gives us that positive 5. And it's always just a really good idea with your eyes, just kind of like mentally multiply through, make sure everything works. All right, now that we've completed that step, we're going to write our factored form of 7x minus 1 times the quantity of x minus 5 equals 0, and then solve both of those individually. We have 7x minus 1 equals 0 and x minus 5 equals 0. For the first equation, we'll add 1 to each side and have 7x equals 1. Then divide by 7, so x is a positive 1/7. And then the second equation, if we'll add 5 to each side, and x equals 5. All right, so I'm excited because this is the part where you get to try this on your own. And I'm not there with you, and it makes me sad because when we do this in class and you're trying things out on your own and you have questions, I get to see what you're doing on your paper, and I can't do that right now. So, all right, but maybe in the fall, right? Yes, yes. All right, so please pause this video right now and try this next problem out. Oh, you need the problem. Okay. 5x squared, subtract 11x, and let's make that equal to 12. Okay, pause the video, try it out. Hi. Okay. Did you subtract 12 to the other side? Yes? Okay. So when you did that, and you subtract 12 to the other side, you rewrote your equation to say 5x squared minus 11x, subtract the 12 equals 0. Great. And then we're going to multiply 5 times negative 12, and that gives us negative 60. And then all the factors of negative 60, common one students say right away is 6 times 10. That doesn't get us the 11 at all. What about 4 times 15? And it does, but we have to check our signs. We have a negative 11, so I need a negative 15. Negative 15 times 4 gives us a positive or negative 60. And then negative 15 plus 4 is negative 11. Okay, so now that we found our factors, let's draw our box. Good deal. And first term goes in the first box, so 5x squared. Last term goes in the last box, negative 12. The two that we found, 4x and a negative 15x, go in the diagonals, and let's pull out greatest common factor. So first column, straight up and down, greatest common factor is just an x. I can divide them both by an x. Here I can divide them both by 5x. This would give me a negative 3, and then down below would be a positive 4. Awesome. So we have x minus 3 times the quantity of 5x plus 4 equals 0. And then now that you have written your quadratic in factored form, now that you can set it up with two equations. I don't know why I put parentheses around that one. I have no idea. All right, I won't do it for this one. 5x plus 4 equals 0. And then I will add 3 to each side. So x equals 3. And the second equation, I will subtract 4 from each side to give me 5x equals a negative 4. And then divide by 5. So x is a negative 4 over 5. All right, so please make sure to be very careful when you're typing the answers in to the Google form. So if those are our two answers, you would do a 3 comma negative 4 and then use that slash there as a division, and then 5, and that's it. Okay, I hope you guys had fun. I don't know if watching videos on math is super fun. I think it's fun, but I hope you had fun. Please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And then email me if you have any questions. All right, bye guys.